Well, we were called in at the very beginning because of the potential that this could provide for tourism, not only for our local residents, but also for people that we go out and market to and attract to bring into our region. From the outset, we knew that this had great potential. I just don't believe that we recognized how big the potential was, both domestically and internationally. There's no question that MotorCities National Heritage has truly been a benefit and a draw for people to come in and learn more about this global industry we call the auto industry. Well, as you remember, we went out and we conducted a brand study, an analysis for this region. And it came back and showed that we have really 6 pillars of brand identity here in this marketplace. And they are identified as cars, culture, gaming, music, and sports. No question that cars had to be at the very top in the beginning of it, because that's what led the improvement and the development of our city, region, and state. Cars has always been a draw. It's a magnet for people. You can go back in time and you can think about the history of a young man with his automobile. When he went out on the dates, cleaning his car and picking up his hopefully bride-to-be and driving around and going to the movie theaters or the drive-in or just cruising in the neighborhood or going to school. It has always been a foundation and a true part of our culture and our core. So we know that the heritage of the automobile, the history of the automobile has been something that's at the very root of us as individuals, both domestically and internationally. And that's why this is so important to the core of what we provide.
Oh, sure.
It's amazing to think about the industries, the development that took place as a result of the creation of the automobile. When you hear that little statement that says the industry that put the world on wheels, it's just a few words, but those words have such great impact. You just take a look domestically at the rise of the roads, the rise of roadside diners, the motel industry, the jobs that were created as a result of that, the tourism aspects, for people to be able to go from point A to point B, to visit small towns, to go and visit relatives and friends, what it did to the housing industry and the ability for suburbs to be developed. Shopping, I mean, you just think about all the things that would not have come into play if not for the ability to transport people from one point to another. That's what the automobile created. That's why MotorCities National Heritage Area is so important, because it allows people to go back and see, feel, and touch and experience what this development has meant across the globe. And we know it's important here in our state. We know it's important domestically in our country, but even across the globe. I mean, this is something that everybody can tie into and make a connection to. That's why MotorCities is so important. We're all critically tied in. There's no question. Well, we have our own individual destinations and regions that we're responsible for marketing and selling. Those geographical boundaries interconnect and they cross lines on a consistent and regular basis. Again, the way that happens is through mobility and transportation and being able to get people across those boundaries and those geographical lines. But the fact that every CVB, every destination in our entire state has some connection with the automobile, has some connection with people's ability to move around, to interconnect, to see other attractions, to go to other heritage destinations and see and experience what they have to offer. it truly is a wealth, a historical wealth of information and knowledge. The other thing that I like to point to is, think about the ingenuity that had to go into the development of these vehicles. Think about the brain trust that it developed and the mindset of individuals who were just working very hard to try to make something work. And once they got it working and they put it out on the road, the repairs that had to be done, the continual ongoing work of improvement and making changes and developing better product. I mean, it truly is a historical wealth of knowledge, history, ingenuity, creativity, and risk-taking. And that's what it's all about. Taking this four-wheel vehicle and putting the world in it and let them experience other parts of the world. Well, you have to know, and when you look around, the wealth of talent that we have in this destination, in our market. I call it pockets of brilliance. We have individuals who have great ability to create or to develop. You can look at various things that have been done from an ingenuity standpoint, and all of it may not get the praise that it deserves, but there are people who have sat in rooms, sat in their garages, and used their brain to figure out great things. Those great things is what has propelled Detroit to move forward on a continual and ongoing basis. There's no question that Detroit fell on some hard times at one point. But look at where we are today. Look at how we have roared back. I like to use the statement that nothing stops Detroit. You will never stop Detroit. And no matter how difficult our problems may be, we have people who step up to the plate and figure out the best way to overcome those obstacles, figure out the best way to move forward, to get past those obstacles, and continue to propel this great city and region forward. Concours d'Elegance is an absolute joy to see. When you think about the money that gets invested in those individual vehicles to maintain them, to store them, to transport them across the country, to be able to show them in great exhibits, especially the one that we have, it's a fabulous thing to see on a regular basis. But I like to think about what the auto show has meant, not only to us from an economic standpoint, but also to visitors. We have one of the best auto shows across the globe. I don't know if people really realize that. But the fact that, our show is really 4 shows in one, with the journalists that come in, 5,000 to 6,000 journalists on an annual basis, industry days so that people can come in and feel in touch with their competitors are doing, charity preview, an event that raises more money on a single night than any other event in the country for charity, and then the millions and thousands and millions of people who come in for public days. I think the numbers are like 800,000 people, but when you multiply that over the years, it translates into millions of individuals who are here just to be able to see what the new product is going to look like. I have said in the past that I think this ought to be our Mardi Gras. And I think the fact that the auto show is moving from January to June is a great thing, because it's going to allow the auto show the ability to showcase more product, more vehicles, not only inside of Cobo, but also on the exterior of Cobo, to be able to allow people to do test drives, to see, feel, and touch these vehicles, for the auto companies to be able to showcase their product and how they work. I mean, it's just a phenomenal time to make this happen. But the other thing that it provides is Detroit's auto show to be at the beginning of all the other shows that take place across the globe. So this will be a disruptor. It won't fall in the same category as what other shows are or have become, but this will elevate our show up to the top. Again, the ingenuity, the creativity that will keep us on the forefront. Well, from a heritage standpoint, there's no question that they will continue to show the historical development that has taken place in the automobile industry. But I think if you look ahead, you look at where the industry is going, what they're creating right now, as we sit here and we talk about historical trends, think about what the future is going to hold. Driverless cars, the ability for people to get in and communicate verbally to the electronics in a vehicle, and for that vehicle to take them where they want to go, with them engaging in conversation or being on their iPhone or having something else that they're doing while they're in the vehicle. Again, that brain trust and that technological wizardry that takes place in the brains of people who know how to figure that out and be able to put it on paper and then build it, construct it, may take it through test drives, and then put it out on the road so that it provides a safe, convenient, easily accessible environment for all of us as part of Joe Q Public to be able to get in and experience it and go from one point to another. It's a reinvention of what is already out there. It's a reinvention of the automobile and where we were at the very beginning, back in time, when there was no roads, it was horse and buggy, and all of a sudden you had this noisy machine that came down the road and people were looking at it like it was crazy. And here we are again on the cusp of a new generation of vehicles, a new generation of automobiles that my daughter or my grandkids and everybody else's will look at it and say, that's the new world. We're here for the very first beginning of it. The next generation and the generation after that will see the next beginning of these vehicles. And you just have to look at the equilibrium of time and what it has meant from when it started to where it is today, and it continues to grow and prosper. And we've already put the world on wheels. Who knows what we'll put on wheels next? But the future is bright.